Hiya! I'm back again. A little bit delayed. We're gonna go over the last couple of bosses um, from Mythic testing. It was just the first three, so it's gonna be pretty quick. I'm just gonna recap it. Um, Talk about some decisions, what I was thinking about, and then yeah, we'll call it a day and hope for patch notes. Still need a lot of fixes. So Mythic testing was just the first bosses, the first three. Little bit strange. So this is first boss of the raid, right? We already saw this on Heroic. It was pretty boring. You basically just have to clear the webs, soak a charge thing, and then it goes into an intermission. You kill ads, you feed the boss the bugs. Job done, right? So these webs were being cleared. We had a warrior clearing them. We used cloak. We used hunter turtle. And then we split the raid into two groups because this brutal lashings is a really, really strong pull. It's a soak mechanic. So everyone gets in, pulls them to the boss. The more people are in it, the weaker the pull. So you gotta, split the raid into two groups. Get the two groups going. All in all, pretty standard fight. Here you see me taking the soak. I didn't have sprint for this. This is just the Wind Fury totem. Alright, not the Wind Fury totem. Got Shaman on the brain. Wind Rush totem. And it was still pretty strong, so you do have to run it out quite a bit. Now, the main problem here, you'll see that this is, for Assassination specifically, might be for other specs as well. If you can convince your raid leader to be in Group 1, be in Group 1. Because you'll see here, as I'm clearing these, I'm in Group 2, right? My Kingsbane's coming up. As my Kingsbane comes up right here, I have to go soak. And this soak blows, because I can't get the Kingsbane off until I'm back from the soak, right? Because I lose uptime. So we're waiting, but what happens after this pull? After this pull, I'm ready to go into my Kingsbane, except, wait a minute, give it a second. Oh look, it's the Hulking Crash. This is fall-off damage. He's gonna go smash in the middle, knock everyone back. They get hit by webs, but it's fall off damage, and technically you shouldn't be able to just stand in the middle there and DPS him the whole time. And then he goes right into the intermission. This is the intermission cast, and he doesn't take damage during this, or he does, but it's reduced or something. Either way, it's a terrible time. And so now you're sitting on Kingsbane, and there's these ads that spawn. And these hurt like hell, but they didn't really have that much health, and so you see I hit this one with Kingsbane for the caustic, but even with the nerfed Kingsbane, this died with 4 seconds left on my Kingsbane, basically. So if you could be Group 1 so that you can get your Kingsbane off on the second pull, that would be really, really good. If you need to give your raid leader the hot tour on that thing, I would suggest so, or else you're probably never gonna parse on this thing. But it's a pad fight. If you can get the ad damage off, you're gonna parse. If you can't, you can't. Sudden Demise looked really good on this for a while. I was playing Sudden Demise. Caustic Spatter seemed okay. The problem is that these big bugs don't live that long. So Crimson Tempest and Sudden Demise felt pretty good. Especially because you can also cleave ruptures on the nets. So that was kind of okay. That felt pretty okay. But it is a first boss. It's just an ad control fight, basically. And we move on. Second boss, this thing was nuts. Because during Heroic testing, right, this boss was just kind of a DPS check. On Mythic, this was a nightmare. And not because of the ads or anything, but just because where they're positioned. So you see we have ads here, but if I can go back just a little bit, you'll see there's also ads spawning on a skull over here, right? And so he starts doing the rotating beam, and your tank positioning matters so much. Because if this Manifest Horror goes off on these Harbingers, they spawn little ads. You see these little horrors, and they start running to the boss. If they get to the boss, you just die. These do a ton of damage when they get to the boss. You have to make sure they don't get there, right? And you do that by killing the Harbingers really fast. Here's the problem. Harbingers, they die. They don't have that much health, but you're already splitting your raid in half, and then you have to split it in half for each platform. And then you also have to go to the far platform in order to kill these ads before the beam comes through. Like, the positioning required is very tight. And it's all based on your tank positioning. Like, our tanks were having to do, like, fucking geometry. Like, I heard them the entire time, because we're all in Discord, obviously. The entire time, we're all sitting in Discord, the tanks are yapping at each other like this is a calculus problem. They're like, well, if I stand here, and then I move here at 10 seconds, then the beam's gonna spawn on me, and I need to be behind the beam. So what if I move over half a platform? I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on? So, it felt really cringe. And most of the time with Deathstalker, I couldn't even really do that much. I just kind of hit him with dots and stuff. I cloaked through this beam here, but like... The main problem point here was that things were spawning on very weird sides. And we had to control where they were spawning, and where the beam spawned, and where this frontal is to let you go down. It is a headache. It's an absolute headache. And I'm sure there's going to be some strat for it, but if you are a guild that goes in fairly blind, or you have a lot of people that like don't check out the strategies for it and stuff, it's going to be really tough. Like, if you get caught on the wrong side of this beam, you're just not in position, right? Like, if your tank doesn't position that beam correctly, it's going to wipe the entire downstairs group, and then the ads are going to run through, and you're just screwed. So, felt very strange. The ads do a ton of damage. We fell behind in DPS downstairs on the ads, but not because we didn't have the damage to kill the ads. The main problem was that the ads were so far apart and like very split and in awkward positions that it was just rough to get to them, to DPS them in the first place. So it felt pretty melee unfriendly. Obviously, second boss, I don't think this is going to be much of a wall or anything. But I definitely think for melee in general, this kind of really sucks. For assassination especially, because I just sit here, and by the time Caustic goes up on something, it's already dead. But we still run out of time. Like, here I'm on you know, this side of the beam, which is fine, but you see some people are stuck on the other side of the beam. And the ads, if I turn my camera, the ads are over here. Like, the ads are on this side, and we're over here, and the beam is cutting us in half. So, like, these horrors, there ain't nothing we can do about these. Unless we, like, mega cloak through and try and get these. It was very strange. And every intermission spawns another ad. There's more horrors and stuff to deal with. So, I don't know. It felt very strange. Definitely a lot harder than Heroic, but it didn't feel like the mechanics were harder. It just felt like the fight was super jank, if that makes sense. With all the positioning and, you know, it's just, I don't know. Fun boss, but something's weird about it. And then we get to this fight. This is the third boss. I don't think I had a video on this, because this was the last day of raid testing for Heroic. This is the fight on Mythic. Heroic was very simple, very straightforward. It was like 2 mechanics. But Mythic, it actually started to get a little bit harder. So I'll go over some of the mechanics a little bit. But essentially, there's these red arrows. The boss will charge the people with the red arrows, and they'll leave behind little phantom images of themselves. So we run them out to the side here, right? And then you see the boss dodge, bam, 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 bam. And you'll see these little purple guys, right? Little phantom images. Now, these phantom images, they deal ticking damage to the raid. And they also explode when you leave when they're too close, like if there's two next to each other, they'll start pulsing damage and you'll wipe really, really fast. So you can't place them too close to each other. And then there's these blue lines that happen. And the blue lines are the ones that clear them off. And once they get cleared, they then leave behind a puddle. Room shrinks, you rinse, repeat. It's a DPS check, right? That's this Soften Rage. So here we place them again. Right, now I'm targeted by the Decimate. You see this blue arrow here? So the boss is going to charge through me in a straight line, clear out these two, and then they're going to leave puddles. Now, the other two missed. One was over here and one was over here. You can see them from the little lines. Let me see if I can get us there, right? So, again, place down little dudes, and bam, bam. Then the Decimate, you have to run these over so that they hit in a line from the boss, right? Straight line from the boss. You see bang. See one line up here, right on the edge, and one line over here. So those should have been going through this way, like hitting something, right? But they didn't. So now the ones I hit leave behind puddles. They grow. Eventually they stop growing. But this side of the room is basically now unusable. So now we have to put them over here. You see the pings going out. And more arrows. Ping, 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 ping. And we place them too close together. So now you see the entire raid is just basically dead instantly. Because they started pulsing because they're too close together. For a melee perspective, it did feel a little strange. We tried pixel stacking it. This is the fun part. Where, like, does it work if we pixel stack? So we all took the gate, pixel stacked. And here come the lines. And there's my frame rate. So that didn't work. But yeah, I mean, the downtime on this fight felt really weird. Like, you'll see I'm in my opener here, I'm in my cooldowns, and the boss instantly jumps. Right? Towards the end of my Kingsbane, my boss is jumping. I'm sitting here, I'm like, what am I supposed to do? So that felt a little strange. Otherwise, the fight feels fine. It's just this mechanic is super jank. And bigger hitbox races like Tauren were getting double hit. Without, like, they weren't doing the mechanic wrong, but because the boss charges through them, they were getting hit twice and placing two phantom copies, which then were on top of each other and killing everyone. So it's definitely buggy. Definitely needs some more help in terms of, like, making sure the fight is smooth. But I don't know. It was a little strange. Downtime was weird. Fight was weird. Is what it is. But yeah. I mean, what can you do, right? And then we had these two. I don't know if I made a video on these. I don't think I did. But this was basically the same fight that we tested for like a couple pulls. And this is the second to last boss, and holy hell, this was rough. So this charge, you have to run these little webs across. You can see them on the... I'm pointing as if you know what I'm pointing at. Two people get linked when they get hit by the webs. And so you have to basically play Red Rover, schoolyard game if you're from America. He runs through the webs, gets stunned, takes a little bit of damage for a couple seconds. Rinse, repeat, and then there's an intermission where I don't think we get to the end. On this pull, at least. Okay, yeah. So here, first intermission, boss steps to the middle, and then you have these webs that you need to dodge. They come out, in a varying pattern. You just have to pick one and then sidestep whichever one spawns earlier. Ideally, you go into a late one, move into the early one. So, for example, over here, these guys right here, these are super safe because this band right here is going to go off very early. So that goes off early, they all step into it, and GG. So that's the first intermission. And then we repeat. There's some new mechanics. There's also these scarabs that fixate. We have to kill those. It's kind of a hectic fight. And I'm sure this is another one of these, like, can be simplified with strats. This is a dispel mechanic right here. You need to dispel it with the boss being nearest, so you have, like, the entire raid away from the boss, and then the person who gets dispelled runs into it. It was a whole nightmare, but it is the penultimate boss. So second to last is crazy hard, but it is also a lot of fun. We also got into the second intermission here. We saw this again later on, but this is basically the rings from Kurog in Vault, right? There's a safe spot in the middle, and then there's a band, like a donut shape, that you can't stand in, and you have to dodge the entire time. And that was, I mean, it felt crazy at the time, but it's going to be a really exciting Mythic boss. I'm very happy with these fights. I think it's good stuff. In terms of, like, Fatebound or Deathstalker, I think Deathstalker in a lot of these fights just simply doesn't work. Even though it works in pure single target now with the capstone, there is inherently problems with it on these, like, cleave fights, cleave with adds. If you have downtime, if the boss goes away. Like, for example, in this intermission, right? This big scarab dude is here, and the caster from earlier isn't here anymore. So if I have my mark on the caster, and the caster disappears, well, guess what? I'm out of a mark. Like, my mark is gone here. I don't get my capstone back because the boss didn't die. It just, like, you know, moved away. And I have a minute 46 on my Vanish. So I have no way of reapplying the marks at all. So I can't make use of my hero talent during this intermission, right? Same thing on the first boss. The first boss had those adds, right? If the mark is on the boss, I'm not ever getting that mark back. And so, like, gameplay-wise, Deathstalker still feels very janky. It works when you're hitting a dummy. When you're hitting a dummy, it feels fine. The capstone's okay. But the mark uptime, coupled with the jankiness of, like, it being a debuff on one target like Caustic, makes it really hard to use. Caustic, at least, you just mutilate and it swaps. But the best way to describe it right now is it's Caustic Spatter, except you get to pick one target every 2 minutes. Or if you, like, match the timing of your capstone, maybe once every 15 seconds. Which just, I mean, limits so much stuff you can do. I tried it in Mythic Plus. It was real rough in Mythic Plus too. Juggling the mark felt horrid. I mean, it was terrible. Fatebound doesn't feel like anything at all. I mean, there's no feedback gameplay-wise from Fatebound, but at least it doesn't actively make me want to vomit. So, I played Fatebound for most of it. I think Fatebound is probably the easier move for a lot of people. If they're tuned anywhere near each other, Fatebound just, it seems like the go-to. I mean, if you ever need caustic damage, the Fatebound coin deals caustic damage. If you are doing, like, bleed padding and you have the heads buff, all your bleeds get buffed because it's, you know, that. You have the just baseline agility buff from the capstone. I mean, it's just, it doesn't necessarily have anything crazy that you can abuse, but just the all-around package is so unoffensive. Like, it's the only thing that doesn't offend me. It's just raw stat, raw damage, go on, live your life. And honestly, I'm happy with that. Seeing what happened to shamans, enhancement shamans, you know, I don't know if I want changes anymore. Anyways, if you've made it almost 20 minutes through the video, YouTube says only 15% of you remain. So, very good. If you're sticking around, you're part of the 15. I actually have a special video for you guys about my personal life a little bit, if anyone cares. I bowl a lot. That's me in the video. I currently have 11 strikes in a row. And so I'm gonna just roll the clip. This is the last shot for 12 strikes in a row. If I get it, it's my first perfect game that I've ever bowled. I've been bowling since I was 5. And we did it! First perfect game in 19 years of bowling. So that was very impressive. That happened on Monday. I'm very proud of that. So I just thought I would share it with you guys. Anyways, have a good one. Hopefully we get some patch notes with some good changes. I, of course, will make a video like always, going over that. And, bye. Have a good one.